It's about tax, government debt program that to solve poverty and unemployment, and also GDP and SDG measurements, right? So this is our first topic. Since 5,000 years ago, through historical books like in Michael Hudson had written, uh, I mean, from Mesopotamia era, we've been adapting money, right, economically in our daily life. It will be a tally stick like this, or coin, yeah, even paper money that had been started a few hundred years ago in China. So maybe for the first time that I would like to ask you, so what do you think the money, the definition of money, do you think? And then from where it is coming from? Do you believe, for example, money coming from barter? But actually, I couldn't see you're raising your hand or not. Please, Angga, help me about that.
Yeah, sure, sure. Eka is raising his hand at the moment. Eka?
Sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
Uh, okay. He forgot to lower his hand. What's the
Yes,
question?
so the question is, what the definition of money do you think? And then from where it comes from.
This is interesting and complicated questions. What do you think, guys? Eric, Agung?
Well, it could be flexible without raising hand, just say, because maybe the audience is not so much. It doesn't matter. Okay. Just try to grab that definition from your imagination, for example, or from your experience. You can share it here.
Uh, okay, I might try.
Yeah,
Can
you can try it. Yeah, yeah.
what is the definition of money?
Ah,
Yeah,
sebentar.
sorry, there's someone coming. Yeah. It's simply a medium of exchange. Yeah, money is used to make our life easier in terms of, exchanging things. Because without money, we'll find it hard, to exchange what we have and what we want. Because previously, we had like barter system in the past, and it was like harder, to measure and to calculate the values or the similarities regarding what we had in the past. However, money came and it would make people in the past like easy to measure, to exchange things in terms of what they wanted. Yeah, that's the first question.
Yeah. So maybe from where it comes from, do you think? So someone just created it and then he shared it in our social our community, or like what, for example? Do you
Is
think, Angga?
is it in terms of the country or place?
Actually, back then there is no state country
Hmm.
like right now, right? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
temple and so on and so forth. So do you think where it comes from? It comes from.
Um, where uh does it come from? Mm,
Hmm.
Initially, I think it came from the uh, most advanced civilization, because they're the ones who developed um, faster than other civilizations. I assume that it's in Europe or other um, parts of nations which were more advanced in terms of their technologies, exchanged systems, and so on, because they're the ones who needed the exchange, the medium of exchange in the
Hmm.
past. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, maybe like China or other Arabic countries, like no countries. It was a kingdoms, right? In the past, because there's no there's still no states in a form of republics in the past before capitalism existed. So yeah, I assume that where it came from.
Oh yeah. Well, so anyone else want to give a statement? So when there's nothing, I will continue. So
Yeah.
when we look, what?
No, I wanted to encourage, like, point someone, Aji.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what do you think, Sophie?
Yes. Second or first question?
Depend on you.
Both.
I really don't know how to answer the second question, but I'm pretty sure I think I've heard it's originally coming from China, if I'm not mistaken, like the actual coin, the very first coin, if that actually what you asked. But regarding to the first question, I think as simple as it's for exchange goods for us. Yeah, I think.
That's good. So
Thank you.
we'll continue it because there are a lot of pages actually, 22. So when we see at our economic institutions, such as our treasury, Ministry of Economy, our central banks, and our research institutions like BRIN, so the money is what have you said? It's about a medium of exchange, right? Those of three, those of trees. But is it true? You see it. This is a myth. Money is a medium of exchange. That this thinking had been fabricated through our academic curriculum is just a myth, actually. So the fact money is a unit of account or social relation between creators and debitors. Creditors is the issuer of the currency. Debitors is user of it, right? There are a lot of books, a lot of anthropological books that trace back from maybe 5,000 years back then. There is not a single evidence found anthropologically through relief, through a lot of things, that money comes from barter. So when we see the money, every penny that you've seen previously, for example, in our picture, there is always a symbol of an authority. It could be Hammurabi, it could be Chinese kingdom, and so on and so forth. So money never exists outside of the authorities, such as usually we think it comes naturally from market operation. That's a myth, actually. So when you could find one, for example, evidence that money comes from barter, you'll be able to find a Nobel Prize, actually. So there is actually that has been believed by most of the economists in our academic curriculum that is come from barter, but actually it's not. It is a unit of account issued by the authority, issuer of the currency, creditor. So it is the first maybe that I will remarks. Maybe some of you guys have argued with me, for example, giving me antithesis of it.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, what's the relevance of studying this? I mean, knowing this, Aji.
Take this. This is the basic. After this, we
So
will
this you will
understand
understand.
what happened next. With the wrong definition of money, we will get
Okay.
the wrong curriculum of economy. We will get wrong of policy also. So we will see the next. So it is my second question. That every year, Indonesia's government issuing like a report to our DPR. I mean, what is DPR? Representative what? The name? I forgot actually.
What?
DPR. What's DPR actually in
Oh,
English?
House of Representatives.
Yeah. And so the people in the various of yeah, it has been believed that tax actually it should be obtained by government to fund various of government programs. So my question right here is, do you believe that the government is financially constrained, like Indonesia, right? Do you think that it should get an income from taxation first and then it can spend? So do you think like that? Do you agree or disagree with it? It is?
Okay, let me point
Yeah.
another a person here. Eric, what do you think? Eric, are you there? Or if you guys might not understand, you guys can also ask a question like to clarify. Okay, I'm gonna ask Dewi. What do you think?
Do you think the
Uh,
government should get money from taxation first and then using that money to fund various programs such as BLT and so on and so forth, such
hmm,
as free education? Do you think like that? Do you agree or disagree with that?
that's an interesting question, actually. What do you think, Dewi? Or Puji? You're sorry. She's still trying to join us. Puji, what do you think about this question?
I didn't sir, please a moment.
Oh yeah,
Sure. Which kind of the question?
Should the government get the income first before uh, it can spend like to education, social assistance, and so on and so forth?
I don't have any idea for answer this question, sir. I'm really sorry. It might be next questions. I will try to
Okay,
build
sure.
my
Yeah.
idea
So
firstly.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Aji, I'm gonna ask one person. Upi, are you there? Oh yeah, you may.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, sir. I don't. To be honest, I don't understand. With the topic today. Yeah.
Do you want to ask something? It's okay.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe later I. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So what
Yeah.
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 Okay.
What do you think, Angga? So what do you think, Angga?
Yeah, it's been a common ideas, right? Saying that every the budget that the government earned is coming from the taxes that they collect from the society that pay their taxes through um, their incomes and their spendings and so on and so forth. That's why they could uh, you know um, provide or fund a lot of or many sectors like education, social assistance, and others.
Actually, I would like to bring our discussion like in Pare exactly. It's about really knowledge, theoretical and practical. So maybe it's quite hard. It doesn't matter. You just learn the language actually, and also share the knowledge.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
maybe it is the point. The government is financially constrained. I mean, it means it needs an income first before it can spend. It's actually a myth. The fact the government is not financially constrained. So I will give you maybe for some quick metaphor. When assume that you're a parent, right, and you have children, for example, uh, you give, for example, the task to your children to clean, for example, the dining room and doing a lot of what's that domestic jobs, for example, and then you give them this card, for example, this red card, for example, you give it, maybe your children ask it. So what's the meaning of it? It is not important to me. And you also announce, okay, when you want to access our motorcycle, our car, our electricity, our Wi-Fi, even our food, for example. Each month, for example, 200 of these, I mean the card with your signature. So your task, I mean, that obligation that you give to your children or giving it to you is a tax. Actually, tax has a function to create a demand for money. Actually, everyone can create money. So uh, I'm the currency issuer because I'm the one that issue this card, and your children are able to issue it also. So your children is user of the currency. User of the currency needs an income, right? Needs an income from doing job and so on and so forth. But you should do deficit. It means your deficit. For example, I give you a 10. I mean, I deficit 10, but you're surplus 10 of this card. But am I financially constrained? No. Actually, I can create as much as possible that I want because I'm the user of the currency. But you can't because you are user of the currency, right? So this matter, for example, when we see our country, for example, Indonesia, in the first that it had begun, the government taxing the people first or share the rupiah first, right? Actually share the rupiah first. Because of what? Because it is how the way the economy works. And then the government create a tax that makes rupiah had been demanded by our social people. And the question is, why America doesn't accept rupiah? Because they are not taxing with rupiah, they are taxing with dollar, right? So this the simple quick metaphor that I will bring to this. So maybe do you have any argument with this, or do you have any comments about this? So I will give it a little bit clearer. And we see this is a sectoral balances that I've been saying previously. Yeah, of course, the tax is the function to create demand to the currency, right? So the issue of the currency, me, I will never get default by doing continuous deficit because I simply just take a paper and give my signature and share it to you. It's so easy like that. And I have no insolvency risk. Even I deficit a lot, it doesn't matter to me because but deficit to you, yeah, it is a problem. When you're unable to fulfill, for example, my obligation to collect 200 cards every month, you're unable to using, for example, the accessories of our house. I mean, yeah, like that. For example, when you're unable to collect some of money, you're unable to get electricity in this country, right? You're unable to access public health and so on and so forth. So that is the definition, the definition of money actually, the tax, the function of the tax. It's not an income. It just make a currency is being demanded, and the deficit is a surplus, right? Spending 10, taxing 90, but it means it is minus. But the minus of the government, it doesn't matter because it is the issuer. But 10 surplus for the domestic private sector is meaningful to us. Maybe for this point, we will see what the real data of this maybe later on. It is the first analogy. So I will go to the next part, that is government debt, right? So most of Indonesian people, from academicians, from usual people, they believe that government debt, or in America we call it treasury bond, such as SBN, Surat Berharga Negara, will burden our future children. So my question is, to what extent do you agree or disagree about this?
Do you guys have some thoughts? Or you guys can also ask some questions or when you're confused on several terms, statements, yeah, you may also ask some questions.
Feel free to speak up actually.
Mhm.
Even when you don't know the topic, just say what you get from this. It doesn't matter. Could you point out one of them, Ga?
Sir,
Mm,
can
Yeah.
Puji, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
The slide is most of Indonesian economists believe that government debt, bond, or will burden our future children. To what
Yeah.
extent do you agree or disagree? With this statement, I will be say yes, because as we know, honestly, I'm not really interested to talk about the economics, but I will try to express my idea about this topic, because this is the new one, I guess, for me. I will be agree. Usually my father or mom will say, do you know, Puji, if our country got much debt from another country, you will pay it by you will pay it through the tax. So they will take much or higher percentage of your salary, and you will get um you will get how to say this one, lower than your expectations. My parents said something like that. That's why I will say that this is I guess I agree with this statement, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. It was good.
Another
It's
one,
clear.
maybe
Is there anyone else?
Yogi. What do you think about this slide? Yogi Sulaiman, are you there?
Sorry, sir. I'm just join. I will listen first. Sir.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Thanks for confirming. And then what about you, PU Cuba? Cuba? Oh, there's PU Cuba and PU Aurora. I think they are mates. PU Cuba? Or PU Aurora? What do you guys think? Or anyone wants to share some thoughts or questions?
Me, sir, I have another question.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sir, okay. Would you like to tell us why Indonesians need to take a debt from another country? Because in
That's
this chart, I see the total of our government. Oh my God, is so much higher, sir. The total of our government debt is so much higher, and our SPN domestic is at only 5,500
1,000
Yeah.
trillion more. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I will answer it. Maybe after this, the next slide, I will answer it. So, Angga, so what do you think about this? I'm asking you.
I'm actually not quite sure as well with the slides, because this is not my focus, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a burden for our future children, considering our government policies on handling the debt, which has been considered as burdening the Indonesian society because of the tax taken from the society. Even the international debt that we have, it's been recognized that we need to pay for that. like one Indonesian person should pay for like some amount of rupiah, for instance. But for me, it's a different case because like international debt that Indonesia has, it's been collected and accumulated since the colonial era, which was
Yeah.
it was a colonial period where like bigger nations took a lot of advantages. It's not took, but it's stealing, in my opinion, from what we had in the past. So I agreed with some Indonesian national figures who are most radical and leftist in the past, like Tan Malaka and so on, saying that we need to instead like remove all of the debts that Indonesia had, like stolen by our colonizers. So if you would like to be more prosperous nation, so yeah, we need to be brave to voice our rights in terms of the debts that have been accumulated since the colonial period. Yeah, that's general thought I could share.
Yeah. So I will continue to the next slide. Actually, the government debt will burden our future children is just a myth, actually. So the government debt is a net of private domestic saving account. So the issue of the currency has no limit ability for issuing money or even debt. The debt is just issued just uh, to drain the banking reserve from the interbank lending to exogenously set the interest rates. Maybe I will make it a bit clearer first. For example, in our analogy previously, when I'm the currency issuer as a government, for example, give you 10 left in our domestic private sectors. So I will also issue, for example, do you want to exchange your liquid money? I mean, your money that you hold at your ATM or at your pocket with this one that is illiquid. Maybe you could liquidate it in a year, 5 year, or 10 years. But I give you another interest. I will give you another bonus, right? So it is just a changing from the liquid money to the illiquid money, actually. So the government debt is just like that, just for trade interest rates. For example, in 2008, the United States, when the mortgage crisis, the United States issue maybe spending 3 times bigger than its own GDP. We know that the GDP of the US is so big, but the Federal Reserve just spent 3 times of its GDP. What happened next? Because there is no issuing of the bonds, of the treasury bonds or government debt from the America. So the interest rate is going to zero because there is no interbank lending. Interbank lending, because bank always doing the interbank lending when we set the limit, but because there is no limit, there's no interbank lending, and the interest rate is going down. It's just for that. But the question I will answer why we have foreign denominated debt. Yeah, because number first. Number first is our most of policymakers believe that government is revenue constrained. That what exactly we've been discussed in the previous slide. Because of they think that government is like a household. The currency issuer is like currency user. They need to spend the money from what's that? Borrowing first. But it's actually wrong, actually. We don't need to borrow from IMF and so on and so forth, because actually we could buy anything domestically. After
Ji, you're lost. Oh, we cannot hear your voice. Can you guys hear Aji's voice? Sorry, is it just me?
No, sir. I can listen to you clearly.
Aji, I mean Aji's voice. Can you hear Aji's voice?
No.
Oh yeah. So it's his problem. Okay, Aji. Okay, while waiting for Aji, I will take or lead the discussions for a moment. Maybe everyone wanna give comments or thoughts on this slide, or have a questions that you wanna raise.
Yeah,
Yeah, Puji, go ahead.
I have so much questions about money, sir.
What is that?
How can they say that? Is it only meat?
Yep, Angga.
Aji, your voice is gone.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you cannot hear
Now
me.
it's
I'm
like so far.
Mm. Okay. What about Tommy? Oh, hi.
Some of trouble. Just wait for a while.
Okay, Aji is fixing his problem now. So while waiting for him, I wanted to hear Tommy's voice. Mr. Tommy, hi.
Yeah, hello. Hello, Angga.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, all good.
You're good?
Yeah, all good. Just trying to understand the topic is.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
quite hard, but yeah, it is still interesting, get
yeah, but
um
I'd like to try to share my opinion regarding the taxes, right?
yeah, sure, go ahead.
So, okay, yeah, in my point of view, yeah, of course, if the government have a plan for developing the country, of course they need the money, right? And then where the monies come from if they don't have a tax implemented to all the citizens, to all the country. So I'm maybe I apologize. I'm not joined since the beginning, but I'm trying to understand why the government implement the tax for the whole country. Basically, the idea is good, yeah, because the tax is like the fuel for the government to be able to deliver the good development, building infrastructure and all the facilities for the all the citizen. However, the most important that need to be clear is uh, if we can see, we just assume, this is just my assumption, if government applied the tax, if I'm not mistaken, almost more than 20 for the employee, 11% for the tax, and then for the PPN and almost 25% is uh, how they how the government able to return, how they able to build so much infrastructure to be able to deliver how to say it, uh, good life for their citizen. For example, if we looking at another country, for example, in overseas, Singapore, Japan, they the government implement a lot of tax sentence, right? Almost percent, if I'm not mistaken. But their government, Japanese government or Australia government, Singapore government, they they build so many facility for all the citizen. They build infrastructure, good infrastructure with the integrated system everywhere. They how to say it? Uh, they guarantee your life will be good until 70 years old, until you getting old, something like that. So if the return for the citizen is apple to apple, I think the tax is good, right? If the return is similar what we give to the government, what we give in tax, and then what the return is. But if we have like big gaps in there, we pay more, but we get less than what we pay, we assume that we still have bad traffic we still have bad road, very bad infrastructure support, telecommunication is not good enough, internet connection is not good, and then so many blank spot, and then yeah, education have the expensive pay to get a higher education, something like that. It means like uh, uh, it's not good for the citizen. They must in the another side they must pay more, but not have the good return from the government. That's just my feedback
Yep.
for the discussion, because I'm not following the discussion, but
Yeah.
yeah, talking about the myth, the government is if at the moment the debt of our government is must be paid until if we have children and something like that. So yeah.
Yep. Mr. When you follow from the first of our discussion, actually the government or as issuer of the currency doesn't need tax as a revenue. It's not a revenue constraint. So the tax is not an income for the government. You could because of what? When the government issue the money, they just using keystroke. Keystroke, it means when I'm the governor from the Central Bank of Indonesia, for example, I just going to my laptop and looking at your account, and I can crediting the money or debiting the money, increasing the number or just decreasing it. So we don't need the tax actually for us as an our income. It is the paradigm that had been misled by our policymakers, that they believe in the wrong paradigm. It means orthodox paradigm. This paradigm had been fabricated from our Berkeley mafia, when you know that. Some of people, some of the academician intellectuals in Soeharto era had been delivered to Berkeley University, and they learn something that is wrong, totally wrong, that can uh, uh, trapping our country under of the global rule. I mean, EMF rule actually. So it is a long discussion actually about that. But the point is, the government is not a free constraint. The tax has four functions. The first is just for demanding the currency. The second is just for controlling the inflation. The third is for supporting certain behavior or not supporting certain behavior. For example, tax for the CG, what's that? Cigarettes. And the fourth is just for what is that? Make the people is being equal. I taxing the rich and not, for example, not taxing the poor, because it will make our community, our society will be more sustainable. Taxing actually it's just burning some of the number of your money in your bank account. It's going nowhere actually. It's going nowhere. When you learn when you know what at our central bank, because I've been there a few times, you'll see the operation in the bank when for example Hotman Paris, for example, giving the tax, the central bank just erasing some number the money of his bank account, just of that, and where the money that has been erased, nowhere actually. It is keystroke. So that's the myth that we've been discussed actually.
Aji,
So maybe what?
there's a question. I don't know, ideas from Dena. Dena is raising their hand.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Dena.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I just joined now. So
That's
it's
better.
very interesting topic because I look anywhere, yes, talking about it, about this economy, because yesterday also talking about governments of Indonesia, about economy in Indonesia. Yes, it's very interesting topic because I look, yes, anywhere in my job, in my school, always talking about it. Uh, so the economies in Indonesia, for me, fairly distributed. It's a fact we have a lot of the naturality, but it still conditioned by for its country to manage it. So, in my opinions, what we need to pay attention to in the future is that our status must be changed. Who only
Oh, yeah.
want to, yeah, who want to be worse, and how can to take knowledge to become an entrepreneur, so you can a great job because I looked in Indonesia, yes, we still we enjoy become followers. For me, we as a Indonesian person, how the method we can become the followings of many people, we as entrepreneurs, so we can get the great job. I think that's
Yeah,
Miss.
yeah, that's true. Because being president, it is very expensive, and you need a bunch of money to get it. Yeah. So there is an additional interesting fact that when the government runs a deficit, it is continuing the previous slide, right? Government debt. When the government uh, had a positive, I mean, for example, I spend 8 and taxing 10, it means you're -2, I'm +2, right? Uh, when it happens, for example, in States, Australia, the UK, or Indonesia, what a crisis here. First, give the example here. When it runs a budget, domestic private sector is in negative. Same to the crisis of 1998. Previously, the government that is a fiscal surplus. It makes more than it spends. Right? What happened next? Domestic private sectors in deficit. What happened next? Crisis here. Same like in UK also. It happens everywhere because natural balance between bird and government, or when we add expenses and also foreign. So everything is interconnected. Thing is cool. It means when someone surplus be minus, right? When the government surplus, what should be minus? Either a private domestic sector or either foreign sector. So what happened when, for example, government run fiscal surplus? It's quite hard, but maybe it is enjoyable. Sorry, with this. When the government runs fiscal surpluses, the poverty number increasing, and also the unemployed people increasing. There is an exceptional. There is an exceptional. There is the decreasing of unemployed people because this is in Gus Dur era. Gus Dur era is ruled by the economic minister, actually my friend, Mr. Rizal Ramli. So Mr. Rizal Ramli create a lot of policy that it could spinning up, turning up the economy. For example, uh, he had multiplied the payment of the civil servants and so on and so forth that makes the economy runs well. It's not an austerity. There's an exception. But there is an increasing number of poverty and also for unemployed people for running fiscal surplus. So my question here, this is remarks also. When you're as a president, imagine that you're president and you have unlimited amount of money because you can spend every what how much money that you want. So what policy that you want to propose to solve, to alleviate the poverty and unemployment? So that's my question. Or maybe when you have no abstraction, I will give another question, but the same question actually, basically. So do you think that the free of education, free of healthcare, free of highway, clean water, and so on and so forth, it is free. Do you think it is possible to be implemented? And also, do you support the program of UMKM or even job guarantee? Which one that do you prefer more? Or maybe you have another ideas how to solve those problems, poverty and unemployment, for example. Anyone has his own idea here?
Okay, let me find someone who hasn't spoken yet. Juanda Hatta. Hi. Juanda Hatta.
Yeah, good evening.
Hi,
I
how
hear
are
that you
you?
call me. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about this question?
Actually, I joined late this discussion, but I just find this discussion the what is the fiscal condition of the government when the fiscal is surplus correlated negatively to the what is to the wealth, right?
Right.
Yeah. So there was a question that when the government has a what is unlimited amount of money, what we should do if I were the government. Actually, my opinion here is what problem happen is what is instability of people. Yeah, there is a big disparity among the people of Indonesia. When the rich is very rich, but when we see the poor, they are very poor. Yeah, that's the problem actually. So that is the harm of the government. They should create what is similarity among the people of Indonesia. Yeah. So especially here, I think the government should pay attention. Like the government right now, they pay attention to the remote area, yeah, especially for the border area, such as in Papua, such as in North Kalimantan, and so on. That is a very good idea, especially to build the infrastructure, I think. Yeah. I think that is the first for this my opinion that I can take the what is the topic that we are talking about economics. Yeah. The main problem is disparity, I think.
Thank you, Mr. That could you
Okay.
help us?
Yeah. Anyone wants to share your thoughts on this? Thank you, Juanda. Oh, Tommy. Go ahead, Mr. Tommy.
Okay, so I would like to respond for the number one. Everything regarding the public services should be free. Yes, I do agree 100%. Even though free or not free is depend on the facility. I give you an example. If we comparing between what we pay in Indonesia, if you're using the MRT and also you're using the busway, and we comparing with what you get from the developed country, for example, Singapore and also Australia. In there, they still you should pay in if you're using the public transportation in Australia or Singapore. However, in there, you feels like you feel comfortable if you're using the public transportation. It's really even in Indonesia, which is the Indonesia improve, right? they deliver, they try to improve how to serve you in the good way. But yeah, if we comparing between another country and our country, still have gap in there. Yeah, the thinking is very interesting. If we get the public transportation, should be free. But if you need pay, then you get more comfortable to using the public transportation, and also the public transportation is always have interconnection between one's mode transportation mode and then another transportation mode, and then it's give you easiness to use in your daily basis. Yeah, I don't mind if I need to pay. And then yeah, and then if we talking about the clean water, yeah, of course, clean water is if talking in for Indonesia, a lot of rain every day is not to it should be free, but I get more services from the government. I don't mind if I need to pay. That's my thinking. Haji.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Who's next, Mr. Angga?
Oh, Anis is raising their hand. Haji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I will try to share what's on my mind. The first, everything regarding public service should be free. I think it will not be a good solution to tackle unemployment since everything's free. I do agree that government should give the best service for the citizen, but if everything is free, yeah, it's supposed to be free for the poor. I mean, but if this is free, if you expect free for all, I think for those who's unemployed, they will not get the motivation for working and to get a job. They think that, oh my God, it's okay. For my basic needs, the government will support this. For those who just only, oh, live this way is enough, they will not think to get a job and improve their life value or skill or level, something like that. I think. And if we are talking about this topic as Indonesian citizen, we will have this idea. But if we are talking as a businessman, I think basic economic ideology is to to do less and to gain more, right? Isn't it? It means that how will I get more not work little? I mean, how to say that in English? Yeah. To try, not to try. How to say modal dikit? Oh my God, that's you do less, but you gain more. It means that you have less employed, then you get more profit and income for your company, right? So if many people think that way, it means that we have to make our citizens stronger in thought and in skills. It's not only giving them free for basic need education, healthy, or anything that, but we have to support them the same level of thinking. I do not know how to deliver this, but actually this is the main important one, the difference between the poor and the rich. Thank you.
great things, good idea. Who's next? Who's next, Angga?
No one is raising their hand, but I can ask I. Hello, I. AYY. Oh, Dena. Dena, are you raising your hand?
Okay, Mr.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I will try about number one, everything's the charging public service should be free, ex education, any level and etc. In my opinion, it's okay only for the middle class, but um, for the upper class, I don't agree because the upper class or high class should also have the government to provide donation for the lower middle class. If it's free all, yeah, so the government won't have the any income. So for me, uh, government can makes the free for about the clean water, way, and etc. for the middle class, not for high class. That's the point, Mister. For me, I disagree if the high class also get free because um, actually the high class must be have the government protects the goods economies to Indonesian for our nation. That's Mister.
Yeah, great. So a lot of things for solving the unemployment and poverty, and also government provides a lot of various programs. For example, enhancing UMKM to create a lot of jobs, or maybe sometimes giving BLT for the poor people, or we call it universal basic income, right? But another country, such as in Roosevelt, New Deal era, after Great Depression of America, they provide job guarantee. It means that everyone could be hired, right? So actually, at this point, maybe for the second point, I will ask Mr. Angga. So, what kind of policy that you prefer, or maybe you have a new idea what we should do actually when you as a government as a president?
Sorry, what question?
So actually, what policy that you prefer, for example, when there is a between enhancing UMKM, for example, small enterprises, and giving also BLT or UBI, or just creating issuing a policy of job guarantee, such as what Roosevelt done in New Deal era, for example.
Yeah, it's a contentious topic actually between the UBI and another form of a policy. So the idea is that the idea of UBI is that creating the opportunity for people to make more free options, to choose what they want, what they wanna work. Because at this moment, people looking for a job because they're desperate people. They don't have any options. That's why because they don't have any basic needs. So what jobs that are being offered, so they accept it. But once they have been guaranteed with the basic incomes, like in terms of food, shelter, and then what else? Food, shelter. I've got the other one. It's like three basic things that human needs basically. But once they're provided, we can actually choose our job freely. But there's also our arguments like opposing this statement, because it's also actually leading to market interests, because once you have been provided with the basic incomes, you can spend anything to the market. So again, the market would win. Yeah, the market aim is actually basically creating more profits, right, for themselves. For me, to be honest, I'm inclined to the supporting job guarantee for people, where the government provides like proper opportunities, job opportunities for people to work. Then they have stable incomes, but it's also needs to be accompanied by better job certainties, like job not only job opportunities but job certainties in terms of their incomes and the working conditions, and so on. Because I don't like the ideas of like bantuan langsung tunai. It's like a bandage, right? It's supporting people like in the conditions where they can survive, not like more than that. Yeah, you
Now
get what I mean, Aji? That's my
Yeah. That's great idea. Maybe someone say something.
Oh yeah, who's saying that? Dana. Oh yeah, you wanna say something?
Yes, I agree with your opinion, Mister, because I know now many facilitators are provides to UMKM, so as paying up business legality, so as paying the cost of making an eBay and halal certification for their products. Now there are actually many opportunity for business people, because in this modern era, yes, many opportunity for UMKM actor, yes, for can make money, can buy digital marketing, marketplace, and etc. Now, how about the statement? How the method for day for there and for days for text many people from the online, maybe online shop, yes, so in my opinion, how about their statement, because money opportunity makes their business, there as an entrepreneur, money opportunity makes in this modern era, it's very easy for take the money, for get money by uh, online shop and etc. At the point that's how about statement again, if they feel it's easy, so become easy for get money, for take money by the digital marketing, etc. But if they feel I can, so from in my opinion, from our thing, I can, if we I think I can once I believe. That's Mister for me. If we don't believe in my statement, so we can't get what we want. What we want.
Yeah, good things actually.
And
So
there's also
we will
Puji,
discuss.
Ajit, rising.
Puji. Oh yeah.
Before
Yeah.
you
Go
respond
ahead.
to these questions, these statements.
Mm.
Puji, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. For number one, sir.
Yeah, sure.
In my mind, it will be possible. For number one, it will be possible if government can, how to say this one, can give a guarantee for teacher. I would like to focus on the educational realms, because if government give the free for educational any level for educational are free, it's like as a teacher, I think it's impossible for this part. Can you see the last time about marketplace for teacher?
Yeah,
Is it
that.
one of the example, I guess, if our government give educational, I mean, there is no payment of educational or tuition for educational. So how about the teacher one? They cannot give the salary that can facilitate our teachers in their real life. That is why I guess it might be possible if our government, how to say this one, menjamin our teachers all of the in our country, but maybe 10%. I'm not really sure about the educational field. And the second question, I have a quotations that I usually listen from my parents. They told me like this because they are a merchant. My parents, my mom and my dad have a store, a small store. They always say it like this to me, Puji, even if you has a small business, you are still the boss in your business. That is why I trust the statement. Thank you, sir.
Oh, yeah, good things. So I will explore it more in the next slide. Number one is free of public services, right? Actually, we should know that monetarily sovereign government, like what what we have been discussing previously, could avert anything domestically, including public services, hiring the people, and so on and so forth. And the government hasn't had insolvency risk. And then the second is following to the mandate of Article 33, paragraph 2 and 3 of the 1945 Constitution. That is in Indonesia, right? All of the production sector that is important to our country and give the impact to a lot of people should be should be handled by the country, and also should be delivered to, for example, increasing the standard of living of the people. It indicates that it is a mandatory that public services should be free. It is a mandatory. Electricity, water, even from crude oil and so on and so forth. Actually, it should be free from this constitution. Means that our policy is not like that. Our government right now is unconstitutional. The second is privatizing of public services, for example, highway, is wrong because private entities, as a currency user, unable to do deficit. They need profits, of course. It makes public services should, for example, accept the repayment from the people. Actually, it should be free. We see a lot of things in America. All of the road, all of the highway is free. It also support for the capital formation. That when everything is cheaper to be afforded, it will increase the standard of living of the people. Right. That is the first point of the free of public services. The second is stimulating the growth, like what had been done by our government. I mean, investment-led growth, supporting for UMKM, will push the indebtedness level, and it is unsustainable in the long run. Because investment is a financial commitment, right? It is a debt. It means a creditor and debitors. So when the borrower risk is increasing, for example, when in aggregate level, government doesn't do deficit, and for example, purchasing power of the society is decreasing, so the borrower risk will increase, and also lender risk will decrease. When two of them meet each other, so the level of the payment from the settle, it could be go to speculative, I mean from paying debt from selling assets, and then it could be a Ponzi scam, paying debt from adding another debt. I will give you some of the resume of our journals that have been published. Alleviating poverty and unemployment based on investment-led growth is ineffective because for example, PEN in the midst of the COVID, the program to solve this problem from the government, that is 6% of GDP had been spent. And the fact is the number of unemployed and also poverty still there, still high, is insignificant, right? While when we when we calculate, when 10 million of people, 8% of unemployed in Indonesia, we give them, for example, 2 million as a wage floor, and for example, make them working for reforestation and so on and so forth. It just needs 2% of the GDP. While we also eradicating all of the unemployment problem and also eradicating all of the poverty problem. That is between UMKM and GD that we've been discussed. And also UBF versus GD. Spending relatively higher than the output will push the inflationary pressure, reducing our potential economic capacity. Because of what? Before the poverty and unemployment people had been erased, the government will experience inflation. So how to reduce the inflation is slacking the labor force. This is unsustainable in the long run. So it will reducing our maximum capacity. It's opposite with Jiggy, spending relatively same with the output, with not push inflation. If you sum up, yeah, it is some of my writing in my journal. At the Great Depression, back then in America, at 1930s, so Roosevelt issued a program called Job Guarantee. It hired 8.5 million people. It creates this miles of road, this amount of public buildings, school, hospital, and so on and so forth. Public buildings. It's like a bridge and so on and so forth. Oh, sorry, it is bridge also. What public building? I forgot actually. Schools, parks. Public building is like what is that? Yeah, a lot of things. Yeah, hospital actually like that. And then it had been able to revitalize the country-stricken business, revive the industrial activity, save industrial cost governing trade practices, wages, hours, cheap labor, natural healthcare had been upgraded to be better than previously. So actually, job guarantee is the sustainable one to solve this problem. But sadly, our government does know that our monetary sovereign government is not, having no insolvency risk for spending a lot of money because it is not self-revenue constrained. They don't know that, so we are following the garbage policy like this right now. Actually, everything could be possible. This is the example that had been proven at the New Deal era back then, and also in India, an REGA program back then. So now we move to maybe for the last topics.
Aji,
yeah.
I have a question.
Yep.
When was the context of this program? Maybe you could share, and what's the limitations of implementing this program? Because I know that this is a context of social democracy era where the governments played like strong attentions to the country's policies.
Sorry, could you repeat for
the
the
first
first
one?
What
was the context of this, and what's the limitation of the government at the time to implementing this program?
Oh yeah. Back then, there is a crisis in America, and Roosevelt tried to solve this problem because the unemployed people, poverty, the rate is hiking up. But Roosevelt has been supported by working party. I don't know the name back then in America. So because of there is support from working labor, so they implement this. And Roosevelt actually knows that government could afford anything. And then he had created this program. And it is only 3 or 5 years. It is happened. It is the evidence from only just 4 years, and then America from the rank number 7 at that time goes up to number 1 until now, because the fundamental thinking had been done back then at the Roosevelt era.
What year was it?
Is that
What year? When?
1930s, 1933, 34.
After the Great Depression. Yeah.
Yep. Actually, at the Great Depression, Roosevelt was a president at the US. There is a lot of books that represent that explain about that. For example, one from who's the name? I forgot. Maybe I will share after this presentation in our groups.
Yeah, this is actually a Keynesian model, as I know. Like
Yeah.
the countries pay a lot of attentions to the welfares of the society. But there's also this contentious because the market will not allow these conditions to happen, because
Yeah,
it
actually,
requires the free market, right, to be working at this time. But because at this moment the market was quite limited, but yeah, they did some interventions to this policy.
Yep. Actually, the program of JG Pool, Job Guarantee Pool, is like our bulog, right? For example, when there are surpluses of rice, for example, the government buy it to control the price. When the for example market the price of rice is high because the supply is low, the government sell it again. It's just like that. It seems like employment. When there is a private sectors, when private sectors in deprivation, so the government buys unemployed people. When unemployed people with increasing the purchasing power, reviving the market, and the market absorb unemployed. I mean the people that had been hired by the government. So the government sell the people that had been hired. It's like that, actually, for the concept. So is that enough, Gab?
Yeah, keep going, Haji. Thank you.
Okay. Our current world, we're using a measurement to assess the economic performance by using GDP, or sometimes they are using SDGs. SDGs, what's that? SDGs level. So, do you think that GDP is is a correct measurement for measuring the economic performance, or do you agree to SDG, or do you have another talk about concept to assess the economic performance, for example? That is the last part of our discussion, actually.
You may also explain the meaning of SDGs and GDPs, maybe, Ji? A little bit.
SDG is the whole of the economic activity has been counted in consumption, investment, net exports, and government spending. So, summary of all the activities, it has been taking the total number that we call it GDP, the total economic activity. And SDG has a specific aspect that has been measured. For example, about well-being of the people. Yeah, so there is also about ecological things. There is a parameters, specific parameters that they put. What's that? They put assessment. There is a 17 of the points of the SDGs, and then sum up it, and what's that? Looking and putting it as a total number, and that is how to rank the economic performance. When you could Google right now at your phone, SDG index, for example, the number one is Finland, the second is Denmark, and so on and so forth. There is a lot of what is that preposition of the assessment actually at SDGs. Maybe some of them were familiar about this. Some of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aji, Sunshine is asking your video to open. Sunshine, our another legend. Okay, who's speaking before?
Okay.
You guys, who is that? Sunshine? Or is that you?
Juanda.
Me?
Oh, Juanda. Okay, because you didn't raise your hand. I'm quite confused. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, let me raise my hands first. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, the main measurement according to information that I got from many countries, they use GDP as a indicator of the wealth of the country. Right? Yeah, this is the classical economic, I think. Yeah, because the measurement of GDP, it is very materialistic. Yeah, they count the wealth by the money. It means that which country have much money, it means that that is the country which is the wealthiest country. Yeah, but I think SDG is a very good concept. I mean to what is compare with GDP, because many indicators I think using GDP. I think after I read SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17 aspects, I think. 17 aspects, including economics one. And there are many aspects other that can be what is as indicator or as the factor of the quality of country. But after looking at SDG, I looking at only there are several data that it's the number of what is economy, the number of quality of life, the number of poverty. There is there is no special number for SDG such as GDP. This is my question. By saying that there is a country, there are several countries that have higher SDGs level, yeah, because it is only a rank. Yeah, how to measure that this country is have high SDG? That is my question for the presenter.
Yeah, you got it. We will answer it for the next slide. Maybe for another one for sharing their opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Hatta. And there's Sunshine, the legend.
No, I'm just an amateur. Okay, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I kind of remember what ever stated by my lecturer. So he actually like introduced three measures, three basic measures on how to address whether or not particular countries experience in advancing. Okay, but basically, this SDGs is taken from the Maqasid Sharia in his regard. So Maqasid Sharia that there is like around 5 types. He actually like telling SDGs like the symbols of prosperity, people and that. Okay, in his paper under the title Islamic Banking Sustainability. So he introduced a novel quadruple bottom line framework in which he attached prophecy or prophet dimension as another variable to include, even though knowing that not all countries are embracing Islam as their religions. However, what I want to highlight right here, I do agree with what has been said by Juanda before, that basically what we want to measure from the prosperity, it depends on what are the priorities of those countries, because basically there is a certain level of difference between in their economic structures. And that's why we know exactly that there are some countries like highly developed, moderately developed, developing, and less developing. They own certain inherent characteristics that they want to develop to counter their challenges economically. So basically, I say that a GDP is not always become the sole or principal measure, but it again depends on the priorities. In general, I can say that GDP is okay, but again, it depends. For example, like Indonesia, that basically relies so much on their agriculture. We would like to also see first what is the measurement GDP. For example, in carbon intensity, it can consist of fossil fuels that taken from the coast, that taken from other entities. So we would like to deeply measure and analyze what this GDP consists of before finally we can judge whether it would be a decisive statement to include GDP as a sole correct measures of economy. I think that's for me. Thank you.
That's a good thing. A lot of good things. Mr.
Another
Rangga.
person raising their hand, Aji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Moonshine, another legend.
Yeah, since Mr. Sunshine is the master here, so I just like agree with him because the way that I see when the government or the country put GDP as the what is question like the sole correct measurement of economy, it means that they're just trying to improve the number of the growth, the economic growth. But basically, what the real happen, how to say that, the actual things that happen, like they keep increasing the gap of inequality. So the growth between city and the rural area, and also the village is really high. The difference is really high. So it means that the growth is only interest of interest by several people in city, or at least they have the capital model. The number of capital model is really is high, for example, like that. So it means that uh, the way that the economic should grow, it means that you have to eliminate the gap between people, and also between area. Just like for example, like, yeah, we keep challenge the future of the growth economy by 5.1%. Meanwhile, the other part of the world is like minus or decreasing by the time. For example, like COVID or Ukraine war. But Indonesia, yeah, at least 5.1, but in several areas, or maybe like the middle income, the middle, what's that, the middle class is struggle for increasing their quality of life. For example, like accessing of is that wealth, and also other things for their life, like we just eliminate one of the health insurance by the health bill, right? The RU kesehatan one. So it means that the GDP is trying to increasing the growth faster, but forget to maintain it as a strong foundation that can help country to defend themselves when the market is too open, too liberal, to capitalistic, and also uh, how to say it, like like weak, when the world is struggle is changing to several project or what's that, the blocks, like bricks. There's bricks right now, and several countries now try to de dollarization, and the number, the inflation getting high, and country just get struggle and cannot provide people basic needs, something like that. So yeah, I think there should be, how to say, like the way that we see how to maintain the economy, uh how to say, the economic way, the economic program, the bill, and so on, so on. And but about SGDs also, as a goal is good, but the way that they try to achieve it with market is really, it's really, what is that, rapuh. It's really weak, because yeah, it's because just like for example, like the way that we try to eliminate carbon monoxide from the air, but we forgot that if we provide another type of foods, it means that we have to open a lot of our forests, something like that. So it means that the way that the world's trying to provide their basic needs is also to exploitate, it's too fast, and it's, yeah, it can grow our number of economy, but it's just too weak for the foundations. Just like that, Mr. Aji.
Wow,
Thank you so much.
greeting, greeting, all
Bye.
excellences. Mr. Angga, how much minutes left? Actually,
We've still got 10 minutes left.
okay, it's not. So, anyone? I think it's enough here.
Yeah, can I just share it a little bit, Aji?
Okay, go ahead again.
Yeah, GDP is the simplest way to measure things, right? Because it's just like you're showing here at the moment, it's for consumption, investment, spendings, and net export expenditure. So it's a simple thing to do to measure the growth. But the thing that this doesn't explain is about our happiness. Whether we actually are happy with the way the economic is being done. That's why there's some criticism like being met by some scholars, against the GDP, and they like Lorenzi, someone, I forget what their names. But yeah, there are actually other measures that we can use, to in terms of our economy, like the happiness and the values that people have. But again, it's hard to measure, it's hard to gauge. That's why again, a lot of countries going back to GDPs, because it's easy to measure. And yeah, I quite agree with Moonshine before in terms of the SDGs. The goals are good, but again, we need to also like explain who's driving these changes. Um, like a lot of countries who which have been supporting this are from the global north, even though the SDGs also includes the global south, like the countries with like less developed economy. But a lot of people, when you ask what the SDGs are, they still don't understand. Again, it's going back to the markets, the way we do things, which is easier to calculate, and also profitable for the markets, which whose their main aims are for profits. Yeah, Anji, go ahead. I'll give it again to you.
Okay, greetings. So this is I will tell it. It is a kind of feeder, right? So in fact, so like what you've said, GDP is measuring not only good but also bad behavior, right? Such as deforestation in Kalimantan, so doing a lot of exploitation. It also counted in GDP, right, as a total output. So it is should be this measurement should be abandoned, because bad behavior is also included on this what is that model. And also SDG, it is incoherent, same like GDP actually, incoherent internally. So the example is there is a development aspects from number 5 up to 17, except 12 until 15. That is ecological indicator, and those wasn't being separated. This means that a lot of country that performs well on development indicators, the total score will be good, even when they fail in terms of ecological sustainability, exactly what you've been saying before. Consequently, country like this celebrate its top rank, where they are while they are major of driver of ecological breakdown. For the specific reason, for example, I've been writing of this, that SDG is a garbage concept also. Finland is the number one in SDG index. You could Googling right now. But its carbon footprint is 13 metric tons of carbon dioxide per capita per year, right? Similar to Saudi Arabia, the most worst carbon footprint. While China is 7 tons per capita, and India is only 2 tons. But where are they in that index? China sit at 63rd, and the rank of number 112 for India. That's amazing. Thailand is the destroyer of our ecological sustainability, but the number one, right? Because that is not being separated between the development and ecological indicator. So we should we propose to all of you guys to read a lot of books when you're interested in economy. The first is about this, that monetarily sovereign government could afford anything, and the tool is job guarantee from United Geneva. And then when we want to build the economy, only build the economy in a good manner. So that is the growth, what the growth is. That is, economy should be only on quality, not in quantity. GDP is quantity, but the growth is only on quality. And also we should looking at the social foundation, such as our happiness, our education, and so on and so forth, and our ecological sailing, right? Our pollution, so on and so forth, should be also counted in our economic performance, right? So what should be done is like this. We should live in here. We should not deprivate it in these variables, and we should not going outside, overshoot of our critical natural threshold, ecological sailing, like climate change, and so on and so forth. We should use this as a model. This is an example from the dark net economy, for example. We should be here, but the fact reality in our world, in average, is like this. We lack in this, we lack in this, we lack in this. We surpass the ecological sailing like this. This is the reality. So we should change the parameter to achieve the sustainable and inclusive economic growth. Actually, it doesn't matter. It's only 2%, as long as it is good, right? So that's a conception. So for the conclusion that 5 topics have been delivered from the definition of money, there is an orthodox and heterodox. What we've been proposed is heterodox. What is wrong is myth is an orthodox, right? From the money, from the tax, from the government debt, from the proposal for alleviating the poverty and unemployment, and also GDP and SDG. They say there is an alternative. We say there is an alternative. So maybe that's all from me, for example. Thank you for joining us. Maybe if someone has can say something about conclusion, yeah, you just go ahead.
Thank you, Aji, for sharing a lot of interesting slides for us. Okay, as Aji is requesting, you guys have any thoughts before we end our discussion tonight? Or conclusions or last words? If not, okay, all good. All right.
Actually, I want to hear from Mr. Tommy.
From who?
He has a lot of good things in our discussion. Mr. Tommy.
Oh, Tommy. Okay. It's a
Awesome.
special request.
That's my comment. Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Puji, what do you think, Puji? because you've
It's like
writing a lot of stuffs on chat box.
uh it's like I should learn before exam tomorrow when I couldn't understand anything in my book.
Mm.
Is it so hard to understand these topics really?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Everyone is learning. Okay, what about
Mr.
Yeah, Aji?
Mr. Sunshine, your concluding statement.
Sunshine, what's your
I'm
comment?
waiting it. Legend.
Okay. Basically, it's not something new to discuss about the GDP and so on, but that what makes it interesting. I don't know. I didn't, even though I was like having a deep interest in like macroeconomics and economic developments, but yeah, because like basically I'm having a transitions towards uh, green energy, so I couldn't talk much. So I say that this is how OTA like provide us with new insights. Of course, like what Puji said, like in the chat books or when she unmute herself. I just like to say that thanks to Mr. Angga that always uh, do not want to divert to any topics but more into academic one and inviting even a legend Aji to provide the stage. Okay, I totally appreciate it. Okay, I look forward to discuss deeper more than just GDP again. But yeah, I didn't read a lot, and that's why I couldn't give a more extensive comment. But yeah, I totally love the discussion tonight, even though I'm late. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, enggak. I give it back to you.
yeah, for me the topic is interesting, but for some people they might find it hard at the beginning. For me, IG, maybe next time you could have like given some contexts, like more context, especially the
Yeah,
contemporary
bridging.
ones, because at the beginning you've given us with like even though the question was easy, but some people still didn't relate to the questions in their lives. But for me, economic is very important because it like it determines our life, like what we've been doing so far are determined and by the economic decisions, right? So yeah, for me it's important, and of course your topic is contentious, and I also want to learn more in terms of the money and the tax that you have shared before, because I still, yeah, there's some disagreement still about this, maybe because I still don't really get it, but yeah, it's still interesting, makes me personally to want to learn more on this issue. But yeah, thank you so much, Aji, for again providing and sharing and making a lot of slides and sharing it to us to discuss. It's very good of you. Okay, before we end, as always, it's time for us to take some pictures. You guys, please share your beautiful and handsome face. Oh, Mr. Ku is also here. I should have asked you to share your thoughts as well. Okay, thank you. Hatta, Tommy, Moonshine, Ku, Anis, Puji, Sophie, who is in Germany at the moment, Dian, Eka, could you please share your video so that we can see your voice? Sorry, your face. Okay. All right. If no one wants to share their voice, their face again. Okay, let me take some pictures. Okay, give me some time. All right, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Mr. Sunshine, someone wants to come. Can I
Another
allow it?
pose. Another pose. Last
Mr.
pose.
Sunshine.
1, 2. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and
Mr.
I'll see you guys
Sunshine.
in the next discussion.
Mr. Sunshine.